Hello everyone, welcome to this video on categorical propositions. This skill is going to be very important for the rules of reasoning, particularly when we're looking at syllogistic reasoning, but it's also very helpful for breaking down statements to their most basic form in order to critique them properly. So what is a proposition? Well, a proposition is a declarative statement. Okay, so this means it's a statement that makes some sort of declaration. You could think of it as the same as an assertion. And in any argument, the premises are always propositions, that the premises always declare something. So you can think of those words premises, propositions, assertions, and statements. They're all sort of meaning the same thing approximately for our purposes anyway. So any statement, any declarative statement can be written about one thing belonging to a group of things, okay, belonging to a category. And so whenever so like this is a prime example, red is a color. And so whenever we make a statement like that, we're trying to isolate it into what's the subject, what's the thing we're talking about, and then what's the group or class that things it belongs to. That's called the predicate. So in this circumstance, red is our subject. We're saying red is the thing we're talking about, and it belongs to the group of things that are colors. Okay, so all declarative statements can be written as one subject belonging to some predicate. Let's have a look at these three propositions and let's try and identify what's the subject and what's the predicate. Let's look at the first one. Philosophy is fun. What's it saying? It's saying philosophy belongs to the group of things that are fun. We can think of this group of things that are fun, like riding roller coasters and doing philosophy. Philosophy is a part of that group. Okay. How about coffee is delicious? Well, coffee is the subject, that's the thing we're talking about, and it belongs to the group of things that are delicious. So coffee is our subject, and things that are delicious is our predicate. Or even the statement, no apples are rotten. So sometimes a proposition can be about one group of things not belonging to a group. So it's not always about belonging to a group, it can be about not belonging to a group. So if we consider this proposition, no apples belong to the group of things that are rotten. Okay? So there's a group of things that are rotten, and apples are not a part of it. Okay, so this table here may look a little bit complex, but all this is to say is that all propositions, all categorical propositions will take one of four forms. Okay, and we're going to look at these names a bit later, but now all you need to recognize is this second column here. All SRP. Here's some examples of it. All SRP. So all politicians are liars. And so you can see all that circle of politicians is completely within the circle of liars. The subject is completely within the predicate. All of this group belongs to that group. Okay? Or if you have no politicians are liars or no pigs can fly, we have none of this group belongs to any of this group. They are completely separate. No pigs belong to the group of things that can fly. Okay, some SRP, so some politicians are liars. So we've got some of S belonging to the group. All right, but we're not sure about all of S. There's a bit of an overlap there. And then we have, some men are not bearded. Some men don't have beards. There's this group of men and group of things with beards. Okay, maybe lions are on there as well. And then we've got this little s to denote that some men do not have beards. Okay, so that table, I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. We're going to dwell on that a little bit more later. So let's look at how we can put a proposition into strict logical form. So there's a number of rules it needs to follow. This is the form it's going to take. Quantifier, then in square brackets the subject, then the copula, then in square brackets the predicate. So this is an algorithm that we're going to perform here, and it's like follow the check boxes and then you've performed it. Okay. So for quantifier, the quantifier must be one of these words: all, no, or some. There's only three possibilities of what can go here where it says quantifier. The subject is the thing we're talking about, and we're going to put that in square brackets to say this is the subject, and the predicate also goes in square brackets to say this is the group that it belongs to. And then that word copula, okay, it's going to take one of these four forms as well: is, are, is not, or are not. Okay, so it's an algorithm. We go choose your quantifier, put your subject and predicate in square brackets, and then choose your copula. It's one of these four. So when we have this assertion, all pigs are heavy, okay, all is our quantifier. We're talking about every single pig. Okay, pigs are our subject, so we've got square brackets around pigs. And then we have are, that's our copula. That's saying they belong to the group of things that are heavy. All pigs belong to the group of things that are heavy. Okay, so that would be it in completed strict logical form. So you might say, well, what's the point of this? And it's sort of like it's going to become apparent a bit later on. Okay, it's going to become apparent a bit later on when we do get to the syllogistic reasoning. But it really is helping us break down these propositions into their most basic form. Okay, so here's the rules up here that I've articulated to you just prior, and then we're just adding this one more in. We can use TW, which means that which, okay, or we can use that which is, just for purposes of grammar. So let me give you some examples. My family are the coolest. We want to put this in strict logical form. My family are the coolest. So we need to say, well, what's the quantifier? What's the subject? What's the copula? What's the predicate? So firstly, the subject is family. We're talking about my family. And then the predicate, they belong to the group of things which are the coolest, okay? Maybe including Antarctica as well, whatever it is. There's this group of things that are the coolest, and my family belongs to it, okay? And so then our quantifier is all. We're talking about all of my family. It's a declaration about my whole family. And the copula is are, okay? So all, so let's look. Here's the answer to it. All, here's our quantifier. In square brackets, we've got my family. The copula, are, and then in square brackets we've got that which is the coolest. That which is the coolest. And we use, so I've said we use TWI, that which is, just for the purposes of grammar. So now you can read that as if it were a sentence, but now you can clearly see what's the subject, what's the predicate. All my family are that which is the coolest. Okay, we've quantifier, subject, copula, predicate. It's got that form, A+. Let's have a look at the next one. Some teenagers have jobs. Well, clearly the quantifier is some. The subject that we're talking about is teenagers. We're saying they do belong to it, so our copula is are, and that which have jobs. Okay, TW, that which have jobs, is our predicate. Some teenagers belong to the group that is that which has jobs. What about this one? Not one Apple product is worth purchasing. Okay, so not one. So that means no single Apple product. So we're going to say the quantifier is no Apple product. So no, our subject is Apple products, and then the copula is, so no Apple product is belonging to the group of things that are worth purchasing, that which is worth purchasing. No Apple product is that which is worth purchasing. Okay, so there's a group of things that are worth purchasing, and then Apple products do not belong to it. And look, we've satisfied the same rule, okay? We've got our quantifier, it takes the form no. We've got our subject in square brackets. We've got our copula set out appropriately, and then we've got our predicate in square brackets. Okay, some books are not that which is worth reading. So whenever we say most, okay, it doesn't insinuate all. So we cannot use the word all, all right? I've said the quantifier must take the form all, no, or some. Clearly, when we say most, we're not talking about all. We're also not talking about no books. Okay, when we say most, we have to use the word some. Okay, even though it doesn't get into all of the numbers. Okay, you know, we're not going into numbers here. We have to put our quantifiers all, no, or some. That which is worth reading. Okay, so here's a checklist. If you can tick off all of these points, then your proposition is in strict logical form. So you've got the quantifier, all, some, or no. The subject and predicate must be isolated in square brackets. The copula takes the form is, are, is not, or are not. More on that in a moment. And then the proposition takes one of these four forms. Okay, it has to look like one of these four.